let's crack a case. Alright, so a bit of a story time while cracking the case. This case was actually my, well, half of this case was actually my compensation for casting Philippines Nationals 2025. So I wanted to talk about my experience here, starting with how I actually managed to land the casting job. So, a week before Nationals, I get a message from the, let's start with the greedy one. From the people who are setting up the stream for Nationals. Basically, they needed a caster. So, they didn't exactly tell me why they were asking me a week before Nats, but my best bet would be that they needed to find a player who is versed enough in the game to be able to commentate on the game as it's happening, but will not be playing in Nationals, which is, to be honest, a bit hard to do since a lot of the players, treasure pack, okay, we'll be opening these separately, I'm gonna put those aside. Okay, so which will be difficult because a lot of the good players that could commentate are participating in Nationals. So, lucky for them, well, unlucky for me, I never managed to qualify for Nationals. Didn't really expect to, not with Elo. Didn't get any top 4 finishes with my Teklovossen. But that's to be expected. So, unlucky for me, but lucky for them. Because, no. Okay. Because, that means that I was available. So then they asked me, who else would I want to cast with? And I recommended Christian, who was my, basically, majestic, gold the tip. Okay. Yeah, not too good. Christian, who is another fairly old player of the game. I knew him back when I was still playing Dromai because he was also playing Dromai. And we had this great rapport of back and forth discussions about the game back then. So I figured, if I'm gonna cast, I might as well cast with someone that I already have some background with. So I told them, no. I told them to try to get Christian. Luckily, Christian did not qualify for Nationals. Well, unlucky for him, lucky for the stream team. So they contacted him and we decided to do it. Now, the interesting thing is, when they actually contacted me, I was far from ready. What do I mean? Well, I had burned out after the ProQuest. Not necessarily burned out from burned out from the game a little bit, but mostly it was because of work. I had a lot of work and it was stressful, and by the time I finished my day at work, I did not have the energy or the brain power to play Flesh and Blood face to face or even in Talishar. It's just that bad. So I was not aware of the meta. The last meta that I was aware of was still the hunted meta during ProQuest. A little after Aurora hit Living Legend, I managed to reach that. But other than that, I was fairly out of the loop. Okay. So, what I did was, after I received word that I would be casting, I actually decided to start watching a lot of national streams to catch up with the meta. I mean, I tried to play some games too, but to be honest, this wasn't, playing Teklovosen into the current meta is just bad, so it wasn't fully enjoyable playing the games, but at least I played some games just to get my bearings straight again. Okay. So, and then I asked Jackie, the other member of the other part of our achromatic pitch club. It's not really a team because we're mostly made out of people from different teams or people who don't have teams, and then I sponsor some of them so that they can join in bigger tournaments, and the only restriction is they have to wear the achromatic pitch t-shirt. But yeah, basically I asked Jackie for some help. So what we did was we'd watch some of the other national streams, and then we'd discuss the game so I could catch up with the meta. It also helped me figure out how to do casting properly. Majestic, Diamond Amulet, Action Point. Okay, so that's nice. So that was the good part. It was the best prep I could possibly do with the amount of time that I had. And I'll link the channel should have the two links to the two streams. It's on the Unbox Fab channel. But basically you could see that I was still finding my legs in day 1 of the stream. But then by day 2 I think I did pretty okay, to be honest. The surprise thing is we had to do a bit of programming, meaning that we had to choose which players to feature on the stream. So it was a learning experience. A funny thing was, so for the first game we decided to feature Justin, the reigning the champion from Philippine national champion from 2024. So that was a very, very easy and simple decision. You feature him simply because he's a fairly well-known player around the world. He won a calling on his first calling Taipei on his first year, I believe, of playing the game. So very good and talented player. And you do have the story of following the reigning champion. Ha! Nope. So, yeah. So we featured him. It was a gravy versus gravy match. We were expecting it to go for a bit, but Justin being Justin, actually finished the game pretty early in a very convincing manner. So afterwards, we were trying to figure out who to feature next. So we looked at all of the players and heroes that managed to cut through. We saw that there were only 2 puffins in the tournament. Now, of course, our objective was to try and feature some of the high seas new heroes because, well, it's an expansion. You know, people are probably going to be interested in that. So we decided to feature the puffin match, the one puffin that actually managed to make it through round 1 by winning. So that's still undefeated. So we chose the puffin. The puffin ended up matching against Osilio. And yeah, that was not a match that we were expecting. It ended in like 10 to 15 minutes. Osilio got a really, really good combo. Got his combo really, really early, like turn 3. He got his combo. So the stream ended really, really quickly as well. Very much abruptly. So we started getting feedback that we should feature games that last longer. And we were like, it's not our intention to feature matches that were short. It's like we were trying to feature a puffin. But so, as the next round was about to go, we already knew that we needed to pick a hero, a match that would be a bit longer, so that it's not over so quickly, and it gives us, there's no dead air, because the thing is, when we're not set up to have a backup feature match, meaning like in some of the bigger events, you would actually have 2 feature match tables, the primary and then the backup. So what's the backup for? The backup is ideally for if your primary finishes early, way too early, you can switch to the backup so that it's not dead air. So we did end up with a lot of dead air. So that's why we were trying to find a match that would last long. So we saw that there were a couple of Verdances that managed to stay undefeated in the leading to the round 3, and we were trying to debate which one. So we had to base it off of player, and one of the factors we were looking at was we wanted to feature players from different parts of the Philippines, so from different shops. Some of them actually even flew from different islands in the Philippines, because if you're not aware, the Philippines is an archipelago, meaning that we're a group of islands, a series of islands. So traveling isn't as simple as just from one of these islands to the capital, which is Metro Manila, isn't just as simple as driving. You have to take a plane. So a lot of these people spent their money to fly over so that they could participate in nationals. So we wanted to acknowledge as many of these people as possible for their dedication to the game. So while we were browsing to see, okay, which one of these 2 Verdances should we feature, our decision was made for us, because the 2 Verdances that we were choosing between, actually ended up in a mirror match. Chart the high seas, okay. That's good. Featured in a mirror match, so that solved our problem. And that game went long, but that game was very, very good, meaning that it was a nail biter to the end. So it made for very good, and it made for very entertaining arrows. Marlin, nope. Dave's looking for the adult one. Still don't have the adult one. I'll browse through it to check if we did find an adult Marlin somewhere. It should be common, so I don't know why we don't. This is probably because in the tokens. Oh well, anyway. So yes. So that was a nail biter of a fight. It was one of the best games in the entire tournament, if I'm to be honest. So, and then we went to 3 rounds of CC. We then went to 3 rounds of draft. Now for the draft, I will admit we needed a bit more. There wasn't really a lot we could do, because unlike in the bigger streams or in the other nationals, where you actually had people who were you actually had a way to follow a single player throughout the draft. That wasn't the case here. You just had, all we had was a feature table for once the drafting pod was finished. So that one was, there's a lot of dead air. So one of the things that I would recommend in the future, should there be another event like this, hosting where I can get to cast, or for the other people who are going to be making streams, is that if there's a draft, we should invest. It would be a good idea to invest into a setup where we can follow the draft of a single player and then follow him across the draft games that he plays, because that means there would be far less dead air, specifically for the drafting that happened in this nationals, because in this nationals there was a lot of security measures implemented for the draft. So lots of little things, like once the draft was actually completed, all players had to put their drafted cards into a plastic bag, and then they had to immediately go into registration of the cards that they drafted. And the registration of the cards that they drafted was actually done not by them, but by players from a different pod. So that reduced the temptation for people to not register properly. It also helped with the verification. Even the CR breaks was very well organized, meaning that it was monitored, made sure that anyone going to the CR would leave their Ziploc bags with their cards before going to the CR, and you weren't allowed to go to the CR until after the draft. So oh, thank you. This one's going for Puffin. Woohoo, woohoo. Since I'm building Puffin, I know she's not exactly the top hero, but I honestly don't like Gravy, because whenever I play Gravy, I try to play Gravy, I keep comparing it to Dromine, which is a bad thing to do, and I don't enjoy myself when I do it. But anyway, moving on. So yeah, so there was a lot of dead air as a result during the drafting phase itself. But then once the draft was finished, monitoring the actual game of the actual draft was pretty standard again. So there were 2 pods of draft, 3 rounds per pod, so that's so that was a total of 9 rounds to cast in day 1, and it was exhausting. Let me tell you, it was exhausting. It was fun, but exhausting. So one of the other things that we sort of learned, and would be nice to do on the next time that we do this, would actually be that instead of just having 2 casters, we should have at least 3, ideally 4, so you can cycle between the pairings of the different casters. 1, it allows the casters to take breaks, meaning to go to the toilet or buy food and stuff. And 2, it will allow to keep the dynamics fresh, the interactions between the casters fresh, so it's not just the same chemistry or the same rapport between casters. So that was, there's another Marley. So that was the first day. Now the interesting thing about day 2, casting for day 2, was I actually ended up a little bit late, and there's a story behind it. The story behind it is that, hang on, there, better. So the story behind me being late was actually that so for day 1, I just wore a simple long sleeve shirt with a coat. Okay, so your standard coat. Whaler. Okay, I'm probably gonna have people that wants that, since gravy bones is such a hot commodity right now. But for day 2, I was thinking of wearing a folded up long sleeve shirt and then a vest. My wife, however, who woke up as I was about to leave, mind you, I was already ready to like head to the venue, intercepted me and said, basically, you look like a waiter. So she dressed me up differently. She helped me pick new clothes, new coat, etc. But of course, it took time, and I wasn't sure if I was gonna make it on time for the start. In fact, when I got to the venue, round 1 was already starting, but the feature table hasn't started yet because they were just shuffling. Basically, they were about to like stream the round 1 without any casters, but luckily I made it on time. But the interesting thing is, I wasn't the only one that was late. My co-caster Chris also ended up being late. So for the first few minutes, I was solo casting, and that terrified me. You see, the thing is, I know enough about the game, but I don't know enough about the current meta at the time. Even moving on to day 2, I had already learned a few things, but I started to find my legs for this meta, but I still didn't know as much. Now luckily, since day 2 was already CC, it wasn't draft, because I'm terrible at casting draft. I'm just not. I don't have enough insight, since draft has always been my weaker format. I just didn't know enough about draft to cast it properly. So, but luckily, we were back to CC. And once we were back to CC, I was lucky that the opponents the heroes that were fighting were actually heroes that I am familiar with, because they were hunted heroes. It was Arachne Marionette versus Syndra, if I remember it correctly. Okay, it really is meant to be. It's meant to be. I'm gonna be a puffin main. I'm gonna be a puffin main. I'm gonna be a puffin main. Woo! Okay, hang on. I need to get inner sleeves to protect that. Protect that, baby. I'm gonna be a puffin main. Puffin main. Puffin main. I'm gonna be a puffin main. Puffin main. Puffin main. Start by inner sleeves first. I'll get a snap later. I'll get a mini snap later. Woo! I'm gonna be a puffin main. A puffin main. A puffin main. Look at that. Awesome. No, I'll have to put it here. Yeah, there. There you go. There you go. That's where the big ones go. Alright. So, yeah. So I was able to cast it fairly well, to be honest. It went really, really well. And then I didn't have to cast it solo for too long, because around halfway through the game, Chris managed to walk in with coffee. So thank you, Chris. And he started to help me cast for the rest of the day. So there were 3 rounds of additional CC, and then we had to go to the top 8. Now let me tell you, casting top 8 was a roller coaster ride. It was, how do we say it? It's different when you're playing in the tournament. So when you're playing in the tournament, the stakes are real. Meaning you have a lot of stake in the game. You want to win, you want to progress, you want to make it to top 8, and all of that. So the stakes are real. But so is the heartbreak. Because every time you don't perform well, you get that frustration. That what could you have done? Oh, the matchups didn't align for me, or the deck just didn't want to cooperate. You have that. But when you're a caster, you don't have that frustration. You don't have the same level of stakes. But what you do have is this bird's eye view of how the stories of the players play out. Like when we were watching Andre's match. Mind you, in between each round, it's not like after we cast a game, we just shut up and we just sit there. No, we tend to go around, talk to the players, specifically the players that are doing very well, so that we have an idea of what they're thinking, what they're feeling, what their thoughts are so far, what they think their chances are, etc., etc. And so Chris is close to the Unbox peeps. So he was talking to Andre, and Andre was getting really bad matchups. But Andre kept pulling it off. Because he was just playing better. He was just playing cleanly. So that's how he's able to overcome his bad matchups. But then you watch his top 8. Oh no, it wasn't his top 8 match. Sorry, this wasn't even in the top 8 yet. This was Andre's. It wasn't a win and in for Andre per se. It was a dangerous game. If he had, it was losing the match would have put him in a very dangerous position. But so many things had to have gone wrong for Andre to not make top 8. For him to not make top 8, it needed to happen that he needed to lose that game, and then 2 more people from the top tables would have needed to lose their games as well. Majestic. Arcane Compliance. Okay. This is a interesting generic card that I might actually, not for Puffin, but this could be something that I could use for Teklo. Yes, I know Teklo Fawcett sucks at this meta right now, but I'm still a Teklo main, and I'm not gonna quit trying to use him. In fact, there's a common here, the Sirens of Safe Haven thing that I'm putting into the Teklo deck because it helps the deck. It fits the deck like a glove, basically. Alright, so that's the first box. I intend to cut this up and upload it separately because otherwise it's gonna be too stupidly long. So our hits for this one, for this box, is we got ourselves a Puffin Marvel. Puffin Marvel, yeah, I'm gonna be a Puffin main, alright. It's a sign, it was meant to be. Now the reason it was a sign is because when I got back after a long time of not playing in the armory, on the first pack, I drew a Palantir. So, and this was already when I was considering playing Puffin. So, with this, it's a sign. I'm playing Puffin. I'm playing Puffin. I don't care if she's not so good in the meta yet. I honestly think she's just not solved, but yes. So for the Majestics, we got ourselves Arcane Compliance, Whaler. Oh, sorry, we should do it here. We got ourselves, I'll get my glasses so I keep lifting it up so I can't see. So hopefully the next video would be better. But yeah, we got ourselves Arcane Compliance, Whaler, Chart the High Seas, a Diamond Amulet, and Gold the Tip. And we also got a Majestic Rainbow Foil of Jolly Bludger, which is again a Puffin card. So the box, the fates, they are telling me to go for Puffin. Whether or not Puffin will be good, we don't know. But we're going Puffin. Alright. So that's for this first video. I'll continue the cracking on the next box. Still on the same day, but separate recording. Thank you for watching, and please do like and subscribe, because apparently, actually I should probably say that at the start. Well, we'll do it in the next video. Like and subscribe, because according to the data, 70% of you people who watch aren't subscribed. So, bye!